I think that landscapes are one of the hardest subjects out there to film. I mean, you have this massive creation of Mother Nature, and you can't possibly capture the emotion of being there in person with a little electronic device that fits in the palms of your hands. In this trip and visiting some of the most beautiful national parks there are out there, I encountered massive granite cliffs and powerful waterfalls and big vast deserts and all different kinds of beautiful landscapes. And I had a hard time getting shots that I feel made justice to the landscape, and also getting shots that are creative and unique from all the different shots there are out there. I mean, these places that I visited are very frequent, are very popular places to visit, and you go to these spots and you have 20 or 30 people with their cameras out trying to take photos, and I was having a hard time distinguishing my photos from theirs. And I mean, it's beautiful just filming the landscape. The nature talks by itself, but I want my cinematography to talk for itself as well, and I was having a hard time doing that when I felt like I was doing the exact same thing as everyone else, which was just setting up the camera on a tripod or holding it steady and then filming the beautiful landscape. So through this internal struggle of trying to distinguish my shots, I found and tried many different ways to film these beautiful nature creations. And today I'm going to be sharing with you guys three of my tips, or three of my ways that I used a lot on this trip to distinguish and make creative and unique cinematography from these beautiful landscapes. I said landscapes a lot in this video. But anyway, enough of me rambling on. Let's get to the juicy information. So let's hop on over to the first location and I'll give you guys the first tip. So we're now up here on top of the rim of Bryce Canyon. We got an amazing view of the whole canyon here behind me, and I mean, this is just incredible. It's so beautiful. This view is amazing, but when trying to film it and when trying to get unique shots, for me at least, it's very frustrating, because when I just put the camera and point at it, it looks amazing for a photo, but for video, there's nothing going on. I mean, you point the camera and press record and nothing happens. It might as well just be a still. So in order to make it cinematic and to make it interesting, you have to get some kind of movement in the shot, some type of action. I like to do sometimes when nothing is moving quickly in real time is do a time lapse, which, if you guys don't know what a time lapse is, it's a series of images taken at different intervals and then put together to create fast movement. So right now we're doing a time lapse here, and every 3 seconds this camera is taking a photo, and then later we put all the 300 images together and it looks like the clouds are moving very quickly, and that helps it be more dynamic and have more motion and just makes it more interesting to watch and to film. One of the things that I see people do, and it's fine, but I don't love doing it, is when they're doing time lapses of clouds, they do really long intervals because clouds are moving very slowly. But when you take a photo every 10 or 15 seconds, it doesn't look like video anymore. It kind of looks jumpy and it looks like there's too much movement. It wouldn't be natural. So what I do is I set my camera to about 1 or 2 or even 3 seconds if I want it to be a little quicker, which now the clouds are moving very slowly. So set it to 3 seconds, and that allows me to get slower movement of the clouds, but it looks more cinematic to me and it looks a little bit more like video. Right, so now let's hop to our next location and I'll give you guys the next tip. And we are now here at the Horseshoe Bend. This place is amazing. It's a dream for landscape photographers, but trying to take videos here can be hard to get unique and special cinematic results. So the second thing I do to make my landscape shots super cinematic and unique is add camera movement. As we talked about, movement is what makes things cinematic. It's what differentiates a video from a photo. That's movement of the camera, movement of the subject. Anything that's moving tells you that you're seeing a video. So in Bryce, the canyon was still, so we took a time lapse and we added movement of the clouds. So we had all the clouds and the shadows moving, so it was super awesome. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move the actual camera. There are a few ways that you can do this and a few tools that help you do it. Some of the most popular tools to add camera movement are 3-axis gimbals, sliders, dollies, and steadicams. The most popular right now are 3-axis gimbals, but I use actually a steadicam. It's not a full-on steadicam like you see in feature films and Hollywood movies. It's just a little one, but I like kind of the natural feel that you get from it. I think gimbals still have a little robotic feel. They're getting better, they're getting more natural, but they still don't feel natural. But whatever tool for you does the job is the best. Steadicams are a little harder to learn and harder to master. Gimbals are really easy. You can do whatever you want on them. Sliders are a little bit limiting, but they get you super straight and smooth shots. Dollies, kind of like huge sliders. They're a pain in the ass to use, but if you can, you can get amazing footage from dollies. Most people aren't going to bring dollies to these kinds of places, so the most common tools are gimbals, sliders, and steadicams. Now that you have the tool to allow you to get smooth camera movement, you can do a few types of shots. You can do a push in, a push out, a tilt up, a tilt down. You can do a side to side. You can do a parallax. There's a ton of different types of movements you can do. That all depends on your personal preference and the story you're trying to tell. If you want to feel more connected in the shot to the landscape or to the subject, then a push in is probably the best shot, because the human brain equates something getting closer to something becoming more familiar. If you want to feel maybe more grand and more distant, maybe do a pull out, revealing where you are. You start kind of tight and then you slowly pull back and you see the whole landscape. It feels a little more distant but feels more grand. Maybe you want it to be a little mysterious, so you want to start down on the ground and then tilt up, showing where we are. You can do the same thing looking up at the sky or up at a subject that may be a tree. I like doing it a lot with trees. I stand under the tree, I point it up to the branches, and then I slowly walk forward and tilt down, and that reveals the landscape. So there's many different ways to do it. It just depends what kind of shot you want and what kind of message you want to convey with that shot. Alright, so that's the second tip for making your landscape shots look super awesome and unique. So now let's hop over to the next location and I'll give you guys the next tip. Alright, and for our last tip, I chose one of my favorite subjects to film and one of the most popular subjects out there to film and photograph, and that is sunsets at the beach. Sunsets for me are like a nemesis. No matter the 1,000 times that I've filmed them, I still don't feel like I've managed to capture the motion and the beauty of the sunsets. But I still consider my sunset videos and sunset photos good. So for my last tip, it's a little bit hypocritical because all of these tips are to help you get unique and creative shots. And this last tip is just to be unique and be creative when you're filming big, open, beautiful landscapes. And I realize that the beach and sunset and waves aren't exactly a landscape. Well, they are, but they aren't exactly what you think of landscape photography, like big open mountains or canyons. But they're something that I have trouble with a lot, and I think it fits the category and the video. So now what I mean by being creative and unique is to just throw out everything that I told you and go do what you think looks the best. So whatever you think looks good and will look cool and will look cinematic, go out and try it and do it. For example, you've all seen the photo of the sunset and the beach and the water coming in, but you can take that photo and you can take that subject and do a million different things with it. You can get super low to the ground. You can only look up at the clouds and just see all the light and the colors hitting the sky and all the clouds. You can focus on the waves coming in and have the sun out of focus, and it'll just be one big ball of orange bokeh. I mean, there are countless things you can do, and it's just up to you and up to what you think is beautiful. For me personally, one of my favorite angles for filming the beach or the sunset is getting super low on the ground, pretty much putting my camera on the ground. What I do is I put my hand on the sand or just right above the water, and then I lay my camera on it, and that gives you a super unique first-person perspective, almost as if you're kind of floating with your eyes just above the water. I also like doing that with a little bit of wet sand, so you're not fully in the water, and what you do is just point it down at the sand and you get this reflection of all the colors and the clouds, and I think that is super unique. And I know this tip was super broad and that you can interpret it any way possible, and it's not exactly a tip or a method, but for me, the thing that helped me most to take my cinematography to the next level is to just ignore all the rules that people told me and just go out and do what I thought was beautiful. Alright, so that is the third and final tip, and now we're going to go back home to wrap this video up. And that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new, and I hope you guys get the chance to use these tips at the next beautiful landscape that you go to. With that being said, if you did enjoy, please hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content just like this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!